a long time. We're glad to hear about the trip, and I want to hear all about it. It's really interesting. I'm sure there's going to be great interest, and it's so good to welcome you for the first time.
Thank you for inviting us.
And in the audience, welcome very, very much. We have a couple here now. It's Ardeshir and Eleanor Ommani, and they have a very interesting story to share with us. And Mr. Ommani will be telling us that he's originally from Iran, and they've both just returned from a 2.5-month trip to Iran. They'll be able to talk about the current situation in Iran with understanding, and I'm so happy to welcome you both very much to the program.
It's our pleasure, Harold.
Maybe you could share just really briefly, Eleanor, your background. You were born up in the Snow Belt, I understand.
Yes.
Then we want to get to Ardeshir to talk about his.
In a place called Jordan, New York. It's 23 miles west of Syracuse, and I went to college up there. But I came to New York City, and this gentleman was demonstrating against the war in Vietnam.
Good for him.
And my friend said, come to the demonstration, and I met him and couldn't remember the beginning of his name. I mean, I kept saying, the guy whose name starts with A, because Ardeshir is an unusual for an American-born.
It's a nice name, isn't it?
Yes,
it really
lovely.
is a rich name. It's poetic.
Thank you, yes. It means heart of lion, actually. And it has a history in Iran. There was a king, Ardeshir.
Really?
Yes.
King Ardeshir?
Yes.
King
2,500 years ago.
2,500 years.
There's a tomb of Ardeshir.
So was it love at first sight, darling, or what? Or did
maybe
he have
second sight?
Second sight, okay. Okay, well, let's him talk a little bit now. Ardeshir, your own background. You were born in Iran, right?
Yeah, I was born in 1939, 70 years ago. I'm your age, I think.
Well, you're just a youngster. I was born in 35.
35.
I'm here to tell you, Ardeshir, it's all downhill from where you is. That's a joke.
I was born in the city of Abadan. It's a city in the south where the biggest world refinery was in 1960.
Right.
And I attended Abadan Institute of Technology and I studied physics and engineering. In 1963, I moved to the United States. In other words, in the last 46 years, I've been here. And it's striking to say that the first week that I was here, and there was a demonstration against the war in Vietnam.
And you were very much against
and
that.
I was there to demonstrate when the cops asked me, where are you from? I said, Iran. And what's your name? Ardeshir. They said, what? What's your name? I said, Ardeshir. They said, how long you been here? I said, 1 week. And they said, you've been here 1 week and you demonstrate against our foreign policy? I said, don't take it personal. If it was the French fighting in Algeria, I would have done the same thing. So I attended college in here, and I got my bachelor's degree from Uppsala College in New Jersey, and later on went to the New School for Social Research. And I got my master's in political economy and studied, continued, and became a doctoral candidate a long time ago. Later on, I developed interest in improving my mathematics. Therefore, I went and got a master's degree, another master's degree in mathematics education.
What caused you to do that, the mathematics?
The Board of Education that I was employed in, they said that if you're going to teach mathematics, because I didn't want to teach argumentative subject of political economy.
Would you have liked to have been available to you to teach political economy?
Yes, but at that time, the reason was that there was a lot of discussion what the political economy is.
Absolutely.
I love political economy.
So do I.
And this is my field. And so...
but there were positions in mathematics, is that it?
Yeah, there was...
So it was a pragmatic decision.
Yeah, they needed teachers in mathematics. So I got a master's degree in mathematics education, finished my education, and 1979 happened.
1979 happened. I think it's worthwhile you're sharing, because it may be to this audience that's the year that the gigantic events happened in Iran.
The revolution took place.
Yeah, the revolution.
The
revolution.
The Islamic revolution took place, and the first week I decided to be in Iran in the midst of that revolution. And I was very happy because we worked approximately 17 years to overthrow the Shah. And finally it came.
And you had been involved in that work or in that movement?
Yes, I was a member of
the
Iranian Confederation of the Students, and I was a member of political parties, serious political parties, to do away with the puppet of the United States in Iran.
And it infused the entire Iranian nation in a tremendously amazing way.
It did. I talked to the Shah once, the king himself.
Yes.
And I told him, if the situation does not change, if you still remain as a puppet of the United States, the Iranian people will overthrow you.
Yeah.
And he was very offended because it was personal.
Yes.
I was talking to him personally.
Right.
And so I got a job as a professor teaching political economy in Iran.
In Iran?
In Iran, yes.
When?
After the revolution.
After the
February
revolution,
1980
something?
Yes.
Or something?
1980.
So
yes.
the revolution took place, and it was a gigantic thing.
Oh, it was. It was
the overthrow of
amazing.
the Shah.
And
you were in support of the movement to change things fundamentally in Iran.
I had worked
and
for
remain
it
that way.
very hard, yes.
And you remain that way
Still
very well.
remain, exactly.
And that some of the attention that's directed at Iran is directed at, in your view, perhaps trying to avert the good changes that have occurred as a result of that revolution, do you think? Or what do you think, Eleanor?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Harold.
Because we're in the midst of
yes.
of an election just took place and so forth.
I know, and I was there. I did vote. I would like to share with you that I am an Iranian citizen. I have dual citizenship, so I had every right, and I was very happy to have voted in this election. I did vote for Ahmadinejad. I believe that, I was married in Shiraz, Iran.
You were married in Iran?
30 years ago.
30 years.
And
so romantic.
Going back 4 years ago and seeing the changes.
Yes.
And we were, honestly, I will share with you, we were against we were critical of the Islamic Republic previously. When Ardeshir and I returned, we saw the development in the country. We saw the projects that are constantly going, and maybe you'll notice some of that in the tape that I'm showing you, because there's all kinds of construction. We call it a work in progress. Iran is a work in progress, and I really I didn't believe a lot of the propaganda that was coming out of the West, and I use that word.
There's a great deal of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they demonized Ahmadinejad, that he's, a Holocaust denier, he's against women's rights, he's oppressive, repressive, anything that you can think of. The research that I've done on my own, via the internet, and I do have a great assist named Ardeshir who translates a lot for me when there are certain things that come out. He translates and takes the time. It's a time-consuming thing, but he'll say, well, this is what they're saying. And then I evaluate it myself, and my conclusion is that the majority of the Iranian people, from what I've seen, working class and people in the area where we're from, Shiraz, Esfahan, Shah-e-Khord, Saman, the southern area, are definitely they support the Islamic system. I mean, they want changes. Don't get me wrong.
We all want some
We all want changes,
always,
and they have a legitimate right to make all those changes. In fact, I saw that. I'm sorry, I don't want to take too much time.
No, it just.
I wanted to say
we'll get back to him. Don't worry.
Well, thank you. What we saw, amazingly, is that already the women are exerting their influence in the society in a very good way. They are not quiet. They are not oppressed. If you listen to the media in the West, you would think that men are beating the women and that they have no rights. And they do need to secure more rights. They have already changed some of the family law. They need more changes. So I support that. There are Islamic women who are part of the structure of the Islamic system who want those changes and are working to make them.
Okay, that's very important.
What we don't want is anyone interfering and saying, make them the way we want them now.
Yeah, which might be a good point for us to ask to Ardeshir and to share again in an educational way with the American people just how significant it was that the United States of America and the CIA overthrew Mossadegh, who had been elected, and how that resonates throughout the Iran and also throughout the Islamic world, that we did that. And I wonder maybe you could share the significance of that and how important that is in the contemporary moment in terms of exactly as Eleanor said, we don't want to be a lackey to the colonial powers and so forth that did such a thing as that.
Yeah, the people of Iran resent foreign interference in their affairs. They would like to see, they would like to have a relationship with the rest of the world. But their memory of the coup d'etat of 1953 that overthrew Dr. Mossadegh, democratically elected prime minister, is a painful spot in their heart.
Very strong. It's best that we understand how painful that is.
Yes. And I hope the government of the United States would not go the same way, would not interfere in the internal affairs of Iran at this very critical time that the people of Iran are trying to decide what aspects of the country should be reformed or what should be kept. Yes, it was, I witnessed as a child, 13 years old, I witnessed the 1953 coup d'etat.
You were there?
Oh, yeah, I was on the street.
All right.
And I saw the tanks. And I saw what happened. The United States, along with the Shah, turned Iran into a big prison that no one could talk, no one could express anything. Now you can, when you see on the streets of Tehran hundreds of thousands of people coming out, this phenomena was an impossibility under the Shah.
Right, Savak.
The Savak, the secret police of Iran. I was tortured by them.
Were you really? I'm sorry.
Yes, I was. And so Iran has changed.
Yeah, right.
Iran has turned into a regional power. And this has to be recognized by the United States government and people. We do not want atomic bomb. We do not want superiority, super state in that area. But we would like to see that the United States talk to the Iranian leaders and the Iranian people with respect. We do not want to be a lackey of the United States.
You don't want to be a lackey?
No, we don't.
Imagine that.
We want to be independent.
Because you're just upstarts. You only, the Western civilization began in Iran.
Yes.
With Mithra.
Yes.
And goes back pre, if I'm not mistaken,
Christianity.
Not only Christianity, but even at Ur.
Yes.
It goes way back, 5,000
That's right.
years.
Yes.
That culture was there.
Exactly.
And it's so rich, and it's so, that's something I think we should understand better than the propaganda that we
I would
get
like
fed
to
so
talk
much.
about the election.
All right, fine, if you want to, yeah. Okay, fine.
I was in Iran, and I was reading newspapers for 2.5 months, Iranian newspapers. I still read the paper. It was very obvious to me that Dr. Ahmadinejad is trying to help the poor and the workers, and poor peasantry or poor farmers.
He lives in a simple house, I understand.
He lives in the simplest house that his father gave him when he was younger, and also he takes his lunch with him to work.
Brown bags it?
That's right. He goes and sleeps in his office sometimes when he is short of time. So he is trying to create justice in
Boy, a
in
big
Iran.
challenge
It's
in
a
all
big
the world. Yeah.
Exactly. And also wants to be aligned with progressive governments of the world. He started 4 years ago connecting to Venezuela and
Chavez,
Cuba, and Cuba, China, Russia, and also supporting Palestinians and supporting the national liberation movements in the Middle East. There is nothing to hide about. This is what he's been doing, and the majority of the people of Iran would like to see this continue.
Back again, if I may, to Mossadegh, and that if you go to Latin America, there was Allende. There was Arbenz. There were other, it wasn't a singular thing, but it's a thing that is not only in Iran, not only in the Islamic world, but in the whole world. There is an overweening arrogance of power being exerted by the United States of America and its allies, and it should be confronted and not agreed to by the peoples of the world, and that's part of what the Iranian experience is saying?
For 100 years, Iran has been a partner of the West.
Okay.
And throughout this time period, the progress in Iran has been very slow or probably negligible.
They've been a partner with the oil companies and the companies of the West.
Iran has been part of the Western world, has been part of Europe, Western Europe, and also the United States. The new government, the government of Ahmadinejad, is testing something slightly different, and that is they would like to have relations with all countries and not exclusively with the United States. Because locking yourself and limiting your relations to just a few powers is dangerous for a country.
It wasn't so good for the people under Rome. And now we've got Rome on the Potomac in the minds of many. We have bases. Sarah Flounders, you know Sarah?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Sarah Flounders and Ramsey Clark. And that.
Yes, I do.
We have sizable military. We completely control the seas of the world.
739 military bases, excuse me.
739 military
at the last count. There may be more because they continue constructing additional.
Exactly, and that they have sizable military presence in something like 130 countries.
You are right, 139.
Now that is like an empire, and they've got an arrogance of thinking that they have a system of thought that comes out of our experience and so forth that is relevant to the whole world, and that they're going to impose that on the world, and there's needs to be opposition to that because the system they had in place is not adequate to what the future requires. For one thing, the whole economic system just got hit upside the head.
I would like to say a few words about the class nature of Mr. Mousavi's upheaval or the attempt to overthrow the government of Iran.
You see that as an attempt to overthrow the government, not just a political change of party.
They are using the election in order to galvanize the situation whereby they can overthrow the government of Iran.
Really?
Yes. Their connection to the West is becoming obvious. In other words, they get their orders from Western powers.
Langley?
How can you
CIA?
Yes, sir.
American?
How do you determine that?
Excuse me. Do you have an answer?
I know that the media in this country is very much, and we have it came out, Harold, you probably read it, in the New York Times. It was on the front page, it was all over the internet, that the State Department, there was a young man in Iran from the State Department, and when the demonstrations against the voting were going on after the elections.
These last few days.
Yes, he asked, he called Washington and said, tell the Twitter, the maintenance people, don't take Twitter down because the Iranians are communicating, and they portrayed it in the U.S. media as, isn't this wonderful that, Iranians have learned how to use Twitter and their cell phones and text messaging and this green movement, but they asked Twitter, the State Department called and said to the head of Twitter, do not do your regular maintenance during the time that these are going on, because that would mean that these young people in Iran would not have access. Now, in the West, people say, well, that's great, that's democratic. But I want to remind people that when there were demonstrations in this country against George Bush at the Republican National Convention, there were heads cracked, there were cell phones taken, horses charging. You know, we kind of have a very prejudiced idea that if you see some clashes, that it only happens outside of America, but it doesn't.
Well, that's a propaganda thing that people go back and forth about.
So anyway,
today, Assistant Secretary of the State came out supporting this notion that the United States should use Twitter, this social network, to get information out of Iran. And also late, about 1 o'clock, Mrs. Clinton came out, Hillary Clinton came out supporting the idea. I wonder if the Secretary of State of the United States is giving some ideas to the opposition in Iran that we are supporting you and we are spreading the notion of upheaval. I don't think it's a good thing to do, because some of these demonstrators have been putting buildings on fire, and they've been injuring the guards and breaking private properties and public properties.
They want to create good photo ops, maybe.
That's
for
right.
The cell phone.
But also the United States media has been responding to this and giving a backing to that. I would like to say about the nature of the Mousavi group. Mousavi's group is interested in establishing tight relations with the United States. And more so, he is interested in privatizing,
the state
in a large scale, privatizing the state assets.
Back to Shah?
Back to Shah. The real problem is
not
not so
Ardeshir.
much...
I'm sorry.
No, not Ardeshir.
No, not Ardeshir. He was a big band guy.
Ardeshir.
The real, the question gets spread around that they want freedom. I believe students and middle class would like to have some more social freedom in Iran. But the class behind this, the capitalist class of Iran, the wealthy, the landowners, what they really want
and the big bazaar
is to turn Iran into a capitalist haven for the foreign corporations, and also,
as it has been the case over a good deal of the history.
That's correct.
And as part of what they call neocolonialism,
and
which you've suffered under colonialism.
They want to take over the state properties. What really happened after 1989 in Soviet Union, that some individuals, some groups in Russia took over the properties of the state. Overnight they became rich, and practically they were trying to take the state power. I think Mr. Mousavi is using the occasion to take over the state power in order to change the alliance of classes inside Iran and internationally. They don't like to see Ahmadinejad is helping the poor. They don't like to see that Ahmadinejad meets with Castro.
There are people who feel the same way about Mr. Chavez or Mr. Evo Morales, and anyone who was doing, or they felt that way about, Pinochet, Allende in Chile, or Arbenz in Guatemala, and so it's part of a larger pattern.
This group has had animosity with the countries of the East, including Russia, China, and obviously the other countries around us. They don't want Iran to have tight economic relations with these countries.
Or they don't even want those countries, in a certain sense, to be able to be anything like able to have any comparable comparison of influence or power to their own hegemonic power that they are asserting upon all the world. It's like the British, if you talk weapons, it's a metaphor, but the weapons, they didn't want anybody to have a Gatling gun. Only they should have it. And only the strong should have it, have the weapons or the ability or the power to influence things, and they don't want to have them. And they got this dual use thing that they don't even want to have the means by which something might be developed, so they have to stay backward so that the powerful can exert their hegemonic power over them without any backtalk.
That's right.
That's more or less the attitude, it seems to me, about the Western or the developed world toward the greater numbers of people of the world who are not being well served. 60%, 80 maybe percent of the world population is not being well served under the current institutions, and there are suggestions about qualitative changes to help the masses of the world more than those people are doing. And so it's got a larger context in terms of the situation in Iran, in terms of the whole world situation as it emerges. And we have these people who want to make war on Iran.
That's right.
There are people, you've got two badges here, and it says, U.S., what does it say? U.S. hands off
Iran.
And that says
correct.
No sanctions. And mine says American-Iranian Friendship Committee.
Yes. We didn't introduce you. We should have as the American Friendship Committee, and also Stop the War in Iran.
Yes.
And there's been a great deal of drumbeat, as you're familiar with people, a lot of neocon people and other people who say, we have to, let's attack. They wanted to attack. There was serious, that's being floated. You've been familiar with that, I presume. Or
last night,
yes, sir.
When the demonstrations in Iran slowed down, and the United States government was disappointed, suddenly the politics, the harsh politics of the United States surfaced. They are watching the situation to see if this turns into a violent upheaval, and they would be able to overthrow the government.
Yeah. Bring order. as is the case with the Tommies often. Yeah, Jester, you're going to say?
I was going to say that it's very interesting in the media, because I really am sort of
You're
a
involved
media
with the media.
Yeah, I really follow it. There was a gentleman named Taheri. He's now in London. He's in the United States. He's on the bankroll of Benador Associates, which is a very big neocon Zionist, pro-Israeli. And
you linked the two, neocon and Zionist. That link ought to be made, because I think a great number of the people that were in the neocon coalition were also tied to Likud or other Israeli, and that should be made clear, and not that should be made clear, because a lot of this thing about attacking Iran comes from Israel.
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting. Just a couple of days ago, Israeli television and radios, they were announcing that we may attack Iran at this opportune time.
Wait a minute. You heard that? You heard that in where? Can you chapter and verse, or is that Mr. Netanyahu or maybe Mr. Lieberman saying that, or somebody?
Yeah, Mr. Netanyahu says that every day.
He does.
That is part of his statement.
Where did you hear the report?
I didn't hear that.
I was on television.
On television, American television.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Can you imagine?
One of the leaders of Israel said it.
Yes. That we may. This has been.
This
has
been
documented.
100
times. I can bring the list of so many times the government, the state of Israel, has threatened to bomb nuclear facilities of Iran.
Well, they did in Iraq. They bombed it, a nuclear facility.
And they also recently in Syria.
Yeah, in electric energy. We just did a program with Mr. Trakey, and they're tying in desalinization efforts with atomic energy. But the attitude of the people there is, we have atomic weapons, we have the strength, we can intimidate people with that, but you can't even have atomic industry, because it might possibly be done in a dual-use thing. I had a friend who, there was some things when they had the sanctions on Iraq, that there was a shipment of pencils that weren't allowed because the pencils might be went down and made into an explosive, and therefore they didn't let the pencils for the kids. It's a dual-use mentality that you stay backward, you can't have anything because you might possibly become a threat to us, and that's an attitude that's far too prevalent in all of the world.
Yes.
Don't you think? And
particularly
particularly in Iran, where we overthrew Mossadegh.
And what's so
that should be really underscored to the American people. They don't realize that we did. It was like as if we'd come in and overthrown the whole system.
And also,
yeah.
there is that. You see, the United States media has each time, and the Zionist media very strongly coming out with absolute lies, misrepresentations. And as the Iranians, step by step, law by law, paragraph by paragraph, proved in the international arena, we do not have a nuclear weapon. We are making nuclear energy. And the NPT, which made more than 2,000 man-hours of inspections, has always reported that there is no evidence. And, there's all this innuendo and lies and propaganda. Oh, no. But, I noticed, Harold, in fact, I mentioned it to my husband when I was watching the media. When they actually changed, the media got the word from someplace and changed those little ticker tapes at the bottom from nuclear energy program to nuclear weapons without any evidence. But you see, once you do that and you play this over and over in the mind of the American people, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people look at me when I say I'm going to Iran, and they say, why are you going to Iran? Isn't it dangerous? Might they not arrest you? I said, for what? What am I doing?
I understand that. I
would like to say something about the claims of Mr. Mousavi as to the rigging of the election.
The fraud. He's saying there was big fraud.
Let's not forget, we do have a clip we want to get in.
Yes.
Film clip. But go ahead, talk about Mr. Mousavi's claim.
Mr. Mousavi, on Friday, after the election was over, half an hour after the election was over, declared himself the winner. When they asked him, how did you reach this conclusion, he said, because my staff told me that I am the winner. From the observer of his campaign,
someone in an anonymous person in the Interior Ministry gave a phone call.
How do they do they electronically report? Do they get returns right away, or does it take some time? They do.
It took a few hours.
Brazil made an election. They had returns in about 12 hours. Everything, no problem at all. Electronically, they did it. But I know.
After he contested the election, the logical thing would have been for him to document the violations and attach these documents to a letter and take that letter to the Guardian's Council. The Guardian Council is the highest authority of deciding about the election. But he didn't do it. For 4 days, consecutive days, instead of following the law, he called on his backers, supporters to come to the street, and this snowballed. And young people who are honest about their demands with regard to a better life, they joined this demonstration. It took him 4 days. After 4 days, Ayatollah Khamenei told him that, please come here and let's talk about this. After 4 days, he went with a letter with no documentation, with no attachment backing these claims. The first paragraph of the claim was that before the election, in our debate, TV debate, Mr. Ahmadinejad attacked me and he ridiculed me. That was the first paragraph. And
that happens in political campaigns, I've noticed.
Of course it does.
Yes.
And he claimed that Mr. Ahmadinejad attacked Rafsanjani, who is the financial backer of Mr. Mir Hossein Mousavi, and also attacked another individual. This is paragraph 1. In paragraph 2, he says that before the election, Mr. Ahmadinejad named some individuals which were connected to me or to him, and this is paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, there are 7 paragraphs, is that there was shortage of ballots in some places.
Happens.
Yeah, it throughout the whole world happens.
And the whole thing of the 7, can you summarize what it was, or what was the pattern that came out of that?
Yeah, the pattern was, yes. His intention is that Mr. Ahmadinejad, who helps the poor, he might be some sort of socialist in the cloak of Islamic beliefs.
Right.
He's not a good model. He might not be a good Muslim.
He might not be a good Muslim, and he wanted to convince Ayatollah Khamenei that he is not good for Islam. He has violated the pillars of the Islamic Revolution, and he should be overthrown and changed, and a new election.
But that's supposed to go up in the election campaign. That kind of thing goes in the election campaign, and everybody does that sort of thing. They have an election campaign, and elections do matter. And they had the same kind of thing talking about Mr. Obama. He's going to bring socialism or some terrible thing, and so forth. It's a reactionary element of people, and it's also against this background. One of the problems with it is time. We don't have so much time as we could. We should set up a regular program for you all down here or something. But you did put together, you were back 2.5 months in Iran, and you have a clip.
Yes.
And I think we could set that up, Willie. Maybe we could set that clip up and run it, so we get in and give a little look if it works. We're not sure it's going to work.
And I just, for the audience, we bought a 2-bedroom apartment in Shiraz. And it's the main street. Walking out of my apartment, I tried to catch.
Okay, we've got it going now.
Street
Okay, bring it up, Willie, and pump it in here if you can too, please.
Steps. It's totally abandoned now, and that's one of the problems in Iran. It's a very big problem. We're walking down Maliabad toward the mountain range. What really tells about Iran is this scenery of construction all over the place. Exactly. That's why when we say work in progress, actually one of those buildings, our niece, Gila, has already bought space in it, a two-bedroom. Gila bought a 2-bedroom? Yes. Gila bought a 2-bedroom? Yes. A 2-bedroom apartment. Now it's never constructed. So when would she realize the investment that she put in that? It could be a year, 2, 3, 5 more years. Look at those workers. What are they doing, those workers? Oh, I didn't even notice them. They're planting beautiful bushes and flowers because this is the season Bahare, which is spring. And in the crossroads, they want the falake. They want the falake to be attractive. And that's a good thing that Iran does. This is paid. This is part of the government money and the government planning. Notice people look at me because it's kind of unusual to have a woman standing there filming everything. So far, no one has said anything, and most people smile. Yes. What do they call that? Tableau. Tableau is like a road sign. Les données et son square. And as you see, look at that. There's quite a bit of work going on. Those gentlemen have a wheelbarrow. And what else? I don't know whether they're
putting flowers in there? I think so. That's a trademark of Iran. Always having beautiful goli, beautiful flowers. Gold. They already have planted, as you see, all along. There are bushes and trees, small green trees. Look at that beautiful mountain. That's my favorite view. It's this gorgeous mountain. I see it every morning, every night. I see the sun come up. I see the clouds roll over it. Very, very. That's a school. Way past that, if you look, this is one height. Right, and then higher on the second level, there's another. You see the cars way up there? There's another highway. It's called the Belt, because it goes around Shiraz. Iran. That's an interesting billboard. Notice they're talking about the becoming healthy and strong. And is that a club? Is that? So in this, yes, in this bodybuilding advertisement, inside is a store.
The biggest exercise machine I've seen.
Oh, it's a very large. Inside is a store.
The biggest exercise machine I've seen.
Oh, it's a very large exercise machine. You'd have to have a lot of money, and obviously that would be a luxury.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, that gives a taste for what it's really like. You were talking in there that I noted, and you said earlier about the state women. They're making progress. You said that somebody was surprised a woman doing it and so forth. Mm-hmm. But they are getting more and more to where it's not such a thing. And it also gives a human picture of the actuality of the place. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You shot that yourself, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Isn't it wonderful?
It's an amateur, and
I know. It's quite all right.
I did the best I could.
It's done. We're getting feedback in here. You might want to cut that down, fellas. Anyway, thanks for that and everything. And so it continues, and we still have this problem. And I wonder, what do you think? This is now, what is this? This is the 18th of June of 2009.
Yes,
I didn't get a chance.
The election was on the 12th.
That's right. And I didn't have a chance to see the news this morning and so forth. What is going on now? What's the trend in Iran now as far as this activity that's been going on, and what do you see, and what do you think, and where do you think it's going to go? Where will it be in 2 weeks? Where will it be in a month, and that sort of thing?
We heard from a BBC reporter this morning that, according to their connections inside Iran, that they're continuing, this green group organized by Mousavi is continuing to have calls not only in Tehran, but throughout the other cities, because some of the Iranians who know Iran very well began to put out more accurate information, saying, wait a minute, you've already charged that there was massive fraud, you didn't submit any information. What do you mean the Iranian people? You're talking about a section of the north of Tehran. So they want to now give the picture, and perhaps, I mean, there may be people in other cities, not maybe, I'm sure there are, who were supporters of Mousavi.
Of course,
but the picture that they want to give is that this is, you know, the beginning of a massive, massive...
yes.
Now, the government will crack down. And that's the word, you know.
Well, a government.
But any government, if somebody
stage,
brought, you know, and I just want to mention the AP came out, one of the first nights, that's when I knew that there was another agenda. It came out and they said, oh, they've shot one person. It was a peaceful rally at the Azadi Freedom Square, and someone who were coming to a building, one of the militia, the police, local police offices, they had fuel canisters. They were going to set it on fire. And they said, it was such a stupid article. I thought, how dumb could this reporter have been? Then he said, and they noticed when they were coming up to the building, they saw the people inside, the police shooting into the crowd. Wait a minute. They were shooting. If they were shooting, they weren't shooting all the way at the other end of the you know, at the peaceful demonstration, the police were first shooting, it later got confirmed even by the media. The police were shooting up in the air, and then when they set fire with the canisters, this group, this hooliganism, whoever, obviously they shot into the crowd, and sadly about 5 to 7 people were killed.
These things always come into the play when there's all these emotions running like. He got a lot out of Ahmadinejad. The report is that he got 60-odd% of the vote. Some people are saying that just doesn't make sense. It would be like people saying, I can't believe Obama won the election. But he actually won the election, and that's the thing that's being contested. I would assume you feel that. And the 62, the large percentage, does make sense, particularly since other parts of Iran are very much in support of him, and there are, unfortunately, a number of poor people that he's helping who do support him and support the thing. And so that general theme is, I just wonder, you feel 60%...
The people who participated in the demonstrations in Tehran, they come from the upper section, the northern section of Tehran. The property in northern Tehran is more expensive than Brooklyn or the Bronx. Oh, yes. An apartment sells in an average for $450,000. And these people who live comfortably in Iran, they want more.
So it's class.
It's completely class.
Okay, well, you've studied political economy. You realize that's been a problem throughout all the human experience and continues.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It is really the question of wanting more.
Yeah.
And they think that they have a right to the state power. And I think some legitimate demands exist.
Of course, there always is room. Yeah.
The majority of people in that crowd, among the demonstrators, have legitimate demands, and they want to be some social relaxation of restrictions.
Restrictions along
like men
women?
And yeah,
the scarf. They're supposed to wear the scarf. Right. Is that a big issue? Or not
among most Iranian...
not among the peasant
class, yes,
not among
the
If
upper
you ask
class.
the peasant woman to take her scarf
She's
off,
embarrassed.
she may fight you.
Well, it used to be. Did you ever see the photographs, you, Eleanor, of the turn of the century, the bathing thing down in New Jersey Shore? You had them down to here and down to here. Remember? We used to. It's just a matter of time. But now you go and somebody's got a sense of modesty or something, and you go and you look, Victoria's Secret's 50 feet high with practically nothing on, so there's a clash between the ideas, and there might be, we could use a little moderation perhaps along some of the egregious use of sex for selling things and everything.
Well, they don't allow women. They don't allow
we talked to many youngsters in Iran. In 2.5 months, we talked to students, we talked to the shopkeepers, we talked to neighbors. Many young people in Iran would like to come to the United States.
Yeah, right.
To study or, this is a modern world, and they want to be away to see the rest of the world. And the United States does not have an embassy in Iran.
They do not?
That's correct.
How can they not have an
embassy? The United States...
Is that true?
That's correct.
Yes.
Since
1979.
Oh, boy.
They do the Swiss.
They have a charge d'affaires or something? Swiss office?
Exactly.
I didn't realize
that.
Is that bad?
In one way, for the youngsters, who want to come outside of Iran to the United States, and they think the roads in the United States are paved with gold, and that's what they think. They were very amazed when they heard 47 million of Americans do not have health insurance, and when they really thought we are fabricating this fact. And when I told them that 2,500,000 Americans are behind bars in the United States prison.
A growth industry.
And when I told them that that the subways, underground subways, in some of the tunnels, young Americans sleep at night.
Yes, right.
And homeless people.
Right.
They knew nothing about
These are people in Iran.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
right, they would, yeah,
These
yeah.
are people
Exactly.
that read
And this is the world. This is the world that these people who think they've got the answer want to impose on everybody else. And the people are saying, enough of that already. Get yourself together.
Yeah.
Maybe we're getting it together. What's the feeling about Mr. Obama? A big change.
Oh, they like
Elections
Obama.
do matter. There's been a change. George Bush was theater of the absurd in a very real sense, particularly on the issue of Iran, and also these people, these neocon drumbeaters who got us into Iraq with all kinds of deception and so forth. Now they would get us in Iran. They bombed the reactor preemptory. They think they can go Israel. They're talking about Israel might be able to go and bomb on their own preemptorily because Iran might, they say bad things, or they might become a threat and everything. That's a very dangerous kind of state of the world. Obama seems to be wanting to open up real diplomacy and real talk, and let's talk about things. And Iran is a major player, a major power, and they also represent, in a certain sense, Islam. And there's a great deal, and that's 1/4 of the world population that we just set up as a scapegoat.
Yes.
In our mentality, it serves Israel. They're like on the Fort Apache out there, no good engine but a dead engine. That's what they used to say
It's
on
a
the
very
frontier.
bad
that kind
and
of
wrong
thing.
foreign policy.
Right, and they're going to allow that to be put into the minds of people. So it used to be communists that
Yes.
we were against. Now it's the Arabs
the
and
Muslims.
Islam. And I don't think we should put up with that. We should be making dialogue because there's a great deal of wisdom. There's things to be learned. There are things to be learned within the Islamic construct around the issue of usury. We've come to let usury become characteristic of our system here, and they still are elements within Islam that hold to the proscription against usury. That might be something we could well listen to and learn from, don't you think?
Very good.
And we
yes.
should not just violate the integrity of the Islamic world. We should be dialoguing with it. Do the people in Iran think that Mr. Obama might be leading in that direction possibly? Or what is their perception of the change that occurred with the major election of Mr. Obama?
Mr. Obama has made very critical comments about many things, and we are, to a large extent, thankful that he has changed the view of the United States, but at the same time, the war in Iraq is continuing, and the war in Afghanistan continuing. We are very critical of his policy with respect to Pakistan. We want Iran sees the insecurity in the region is caused by the United States interference and wars in that part of the world.
It's the United States and Israel. They're joined at the hip.
That's right.
The two are?
Right. And the British.
Is that correct? And the British.
And the British.
But particularly Israel.
The
I don't know.
influence of Israel in the American policymaking has been proven to be extremely large, detrimental. Now, I think Obama...
To the interest of the United States.
To the interest of the United States.
That's correct.
Why? Why are we so of that?
Well,
and what they did in Gaza.
But don't forget that.
And the wall.
But $3 million a day,
It's
Harold,
very dangerous.
It is.
Harold, $3 million a day. I think our viewers know that. Go out of the American people's tax money that goes to Israel.
But more important than that, more important than that is there's an attitude that says it's like the frontier of with the American Indian peoples. They've got great deal of income and wealth and that sort of thing. And then you've got the American Indian peoples, and the people, they have an attitude of scapegoating Islam.
Yes.
Because it's convenient. It's like they had that attitude toward the Indians when we were taking over their land. It's similar to that.
Yes, and
so
it is very similar.
And now the government, it seems to me the government, Mr. Netanyahu, this fellow Lieberman, they don't seem to have any kind of a thing that's going to be, that's a very dangerous part of the world. We should be making peace through association with Islam rather than just allowing a small group of people out on the frontier worried about their own thing or something to dictate a propaganda campaign against 1/4 of the world population.
In the last week, Mr. Lieberman, several times, along with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, several times they have been pressuring Mr. Obama to make forceful comments against Iran.
Against Iran? Who has?
I don't think Hillary.
Lieberman.
Yeah,
Lieberman.
From Israel.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what is
No,
this?
the Lieberman here.
Oh, the
senator.
Lieberman here, but there's a Lieberman in Israel,
That's correct.
too.
Oh, yes.
Out and out racist, it
Yes.
seems to me. Apartheid.
And may I
Right?
That's
yes.
correct.
Doesn't it seem that way to you?
No, it is.
Okay,
It is.
it's
And
a
one of the
right-wing lurch.
I have to say that one of the reasons that Israel has demonized through the media and spread so much false propaganda and lies about the president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, is because he had the guts and the principle to say, what you are doing to the Palestinians and starving
And the
them.
crimes against...
It's like what we did to the American Indians.
This is wrong, and we don't support it, and we will support Hamas. We will support Hezbollah.
Right.
Politically, spiritually. Iran, I don't know if you know this, but Iran helped set up in the southern part of Lebanon with Iranian nurses, doctors. They set up hospitals, not military bases, which is what the U.S. sets up.
Yeah.
These are things that benefit poor people, and that was where Israel
Can't have that.
hit. Oh, they wiped them all out. They
Can't
wiped
have
them out
that.
in that.
Yeah,
2
right.
summers
Yeah,
ago.
you
was
got
terrible.
to just build
so
more
they hate
swimming pools for the
Ahmadinejad
wealthy.
because, and I have to say, some of the Iranians in the north, because we had a lot of conversations in Tehran when we were there only 5 days, but it was enough time. We went out into the street and we spent a great amount of time. And some of them were so cold, and they say things like, well, we don't care about the Arabs. We don't care about the Palestinians. Why is Ahmadinejad giving all the money to the Palestinians? And I looked at them and I said, have you seen what the United States did to Iraq?
Yeah.
Do you know what they're doing to Pakistan right now?
There's
There's a million people without homes.
Yeah.
That beautiful, lush, rich area is being destroyed
I know.
by our taxes.
By our dollars and others.
So why are you against a leader, a president, your own president, who doesn't want to support that kind of policy?
Yeah, right. Well, it would be, again, you said that it has a great deal to do with political economy and class and so forth.
That's
and we are also under threat in terms of the world society. We should be making dialogue with the world.
Yes.
Let's hope Mr. Obama might lead in that direction.
So.
Stave off the hawks who want to go and bomb it in that relentless kind of way that they do. I congratulate you on the apparent, up till now, success of avoiding bombing or attacking Iran. And that's something that desperately could not be done. I congratulate you on that. And I'm so glad we can join you. Altogether too short, but thank you for coming in, bringing us up to date.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, sir.
much.
I was just going to say a few words about
Okay, we're
about
just
the
going.
election.
We've got a few minutes left. Yeah.
It was
a few seconds left.
85% of the Iranian population participated in the election.
85%.
Yes.
That's correct.
And that's not
highest
rigged.
in the world. No.
That's
And
not
the election's
rigged.
not
rigged.
rigged.
No, that's for sure.
And those
85% the world knows
those
it.
elections are honest.
And that
I
is
think they're
more,
gonna-
that
it's gonna
ratio
hold.
is
No.
more than what we have in the United
Yes,
States.
the elections in Iran are honest.
That's correct.
They have been.
That's right.
Okay, so that's something that's a basic principle they're trying
That's
to say, and that's not true. So it may well be that they won that election fair and square, and it might have meaning for things in the future.
Right.
Might make more room for Mr. Obama to come in and something other than having to ward off war hawks and that kind of thing.
Right.
And it might help in bringing peace to the world.
Certainly hope so.
And thank you very much. We ought to get you on here regularly to report to the American people if we can.
Well, it's
Your
wonderful.
pleasure to have the perceptions then of Ardeshir and his lovely wife,
Eleanor,
who's just returned from Eleanor from Iran. And thank you very much for viewing.